So I trust that everyone had a positive breakout experience, got to travel across the building, meet the Citizen Artist Fellows, and go deeper in their practice, as well as explore our ideals in a smaller setting. So I know we had really intense conversation, and then Paige was our citizen artist, and she had us really active and on our feet. So it was a nice change of pace there. So we wanted to be able to share out for the whole group what the themes of conversation and what ideas came up from the breakouts. So we're asking the fellows to come out on stage, and they're going to talk us through what their and the team's impressions were from those sessions. So let's bring out CJ, Davida, Greg, Akil, Monica, Camille, Gina, Yoko, and Paige. You guys want to scoot my way a little bit more? There we go, there we go. So we have this exercise designed, and if they improve on it and wing it, we're also really excited. But our idea was that we would do this sort of 3, 2, 1. So 3 key ideas from the fellow session, 2 things we're curious about, and 1 word to describe it, as well as the same format for the ideal session. You guys are going to rock this, so you don't really need me to talk anymore, right? You got this?
Sure.
All right. Rapid fire. This is what we learned from our breakouts.
Okay. So our session was, what are the places and spaces that we need for creativity? So we talked about needing a space that, on a certain point, blinding your senses, and then also unblinding them. So being able to slow down, to understand what's dynamic, to have joy and inspiration, but also a place of anarchy, weirdness, empowerment. That creates, the things we're curious about is, how do you make a space that's outside of your ordinary realm? So whether it's school or home. And also one where there's if you have an absence of such a place, that you can remain creative, so that you have a community that supports your inquiry making, that you're safe to take risks. And a 1-word summary is freedom.
So, am I talking about breakout session 1 or 2?
Go for it.
Okay. So breakout session 1, our topic question was art as transformative experience. 3 key ideas. 1, the transformative power of sound in an environment on health and well-being. 2, how we communicate is just as important as what we communicate. 3, we can use art to create a positive future environment as we shape our society moving forward. 2 things we are curious about. 1, some people say hearing is the last sense to go when we pass away. So what is the last sound you want to hear at the end of your life? 2, suppose everything worked out just fine from this point on. What does the 22nd century look like and sound like? 1-word summary, transformation.
So our topic of discussion was, what is art for all, and how does policymaking intersect with that? 3 key ideas were arts accessibility for everyone, that the arts are a safe place, and that artists must be at the forefront of policymaking.
2 things we're curious about. What are the metrics of hope? How do you measure joy? And also, how do we leverage these metrics to ensure that we have a place at the table of social change? 1-word summary response, now.
So I'm going to do the first breakout session, and the topic is human connection and community building through the arts. The 3 key points was a holistic approach to family wellness through creativity. How can we be fully present as a community? Shared creative community through multi-generational aspects. And then 2 things we're curious about were the aspects of improvisation, so that the community is actually able bringing something to the table. And also, what types of tools do people come into the art with, and what types of tools do they leave with? And then the one word is not one word at all, but I didn't write this. So I'm going to read all 4 of these words like one long word. Creative community activity.
Nice. I'll take it. Great. So in my session, we looked at how to balance authenticity with being successful. Some 3 key ideas. Take risks to stay true to the community. Build bridges and relationships between artists, arts administrators, and the audience. Understand that an open mind is necessary to fulfill specific audience needs. 2 things we're curious about: art as thought response, and how is art activated in the community and its connection between JFK ideals and hip-hop ideals. Our one-word summary is deep, y'all. Get ready. It's community with focus on unity.
Well done, thank you. My name's Akil Charlton. I'm going to talk about our the first breakout session, which was the topic was safe to produce art. The key ideas, 3 key ideas, were the challenge of making art accessible, particularly for people in marginalized communities. Second one is people's need for safety to make art, and that means emotional safety, physical safety, social safety, and resource safety. Third is that everyone has the capacity to be an artist, even without instruments or lessons. And the things that we're curious about: one is, how does this fit with school and administration? Are they open to instruction like what I do? I was describing my mobile music box practice. And the second was, is anyone else doing what I'm doing? The one-word response, actually we didn't have a one-word response, but I will give it a one-word response. I think the one word that captured my workshop was slide.
Nice. Hi, my name is Greg Mosgala. I will talk about my session, unless you want to hear the other. No? Everybody good? Okay, cool. The topic of my conversation was titled Disability, the Fear is Real. And the question was, how do you merge disability into the mainstream? Key ideas: arts are effective, particularly theater, when dealing with the disability community because they provide a space where people show up, create a sense of community, and you provide a space where empathy can be practiced. Another idea: there is a disconnect in the disability community itself because you rarely see disabled people cast as disabled people, and we need to see ourselves reflected back on our stages and on our screens. The third, in the disability community, we need material to serve as the container. So new plays, new works, better stories that will serve as the container to support the casting of disabled actors, provide work for them, disabled designers, et cetera, all the way down the line. Things we were curious about: in what way can people like us, arts organizations, show more courage around difficult topics like disability in the arts? What makes the arts so successful? What is the magic or spark, not just with kids, but with adults when we enter the artistic realm? And our one-word summary was experiment.
Hi, my name is Gina Reichert, and our topic was service, and I think the role of the artist in the community and in service. 3 key ideas: integrate art projects into the whole neighborhood so there are no borders between the arts and non-arts areas. Every person is a part of the community, even the criminals, and every relationship is valuable. Not wanting to work in the neighborhood alone, but with partners, wanting to create impact and space for culture and contemplation. 2 things we are curious about: how do we define value in a community? What does it mean if arts and culture are drivers of community instead of money or market forces? The second one, going off script. The second one is, what is it? How do we have impact beyond our expertise without overstretching ourselves, because burnout is real and we want to remain artists first? And the one-word summary response is redirect.
So if any of y'all want to highlight anything else, you can feel free to do another round, but I feel like that really gave us a pretty good sense of the impact of the day. But if anyone was really wanting to get another thought out, yep.
There's one thing from the Breakout 2, exploring JFK's ideals in terms of the key ideas. It was talking about what are the new frontiers for the arts in technology and business. And one of the things I found was really fascinating was that it came up that the eye of the hurricane that we talked about earlier is in the maker movement and maker space. So makers are creating these connections between art and business and technology.
Awesome.
Yeah, one great one from the second breakout, which was Freedom, exploring JFK's ideals, in which Sonia and Esteban joined us, was arts inspires discipline, teamwork, excellence, self-esteem, and future audiences.
Okay, this is one from our second session. We talked a lot about science, but one of the things that stood out to me personally was this idea of not giving expectations that are unrealistic to young scientists, that they're going to, knock out the next theory and become the next person, but that they are learning to love the process, and that there is beauty in the process, and that's the same in the creative world as well, and to celebrate the process and the team, and not just the one person, but how many people came together to bring that science to bear.
Awesome. So Mark and Yo-Yo had a jillion amazing things to say. One thing in particular that stood out was Mark's charge to us that we have figured out how to monetize and run beautiful, beautiful prison systems, that we have incentivized that beyond what anybody could have imagined. And we can do the same thing with a freedom system, the deliverable being freedom. That's what these creative innovation centers like the Kennedy Center can create. So we can figure that out if we think of the product as being freedom.
Our session 2 was moderated by Renee Fleming, and it was about gratitude. How do the arts transform healing? And it was very interesting. We explored the concept of arts as medicine with the connection to neuroscience. So Dr. Francis Collins and Dr. Eva Fattorini, I'm sorry if I didn't Fattorini, they both shared very fascinating insight on brain and how our brain functions with arts and music, and lots of possibilities.
So, is it okay if I add one thing from session 2?
Yeah.
Because it was Dave Eggers and Alice Waters, and I think a lot of us are really invested in young people, and one of the things that I found in that session was that they spoke really in an inspiring way about the ways that we make stimulating spaces for young people to keep their creativity. And then also in the spirit of the fact that kittens become cats, that it would be nice if we extended that to the broader community. So thinking about the ways we invest in young people, we can do that for everybody. And I felt like that came across as well.
Nice, thank you. So can you guys just be here all the time, please? I think you should just stay all the time.
Sure.
Thank you so much for sharing. I just need to collect your sheets at some point, and please rejoin us back in the audience. And I'll take us to the next piece. Thank you, fellows.